What's good, y'all? I've got some huge buffs from my boy Arbok. No poison and dark type strong jaw. That's a pretty commonly done thing in a lot of ROM hacks. Number one, I don't even see strong jaw. Arbok is a constrictor, not like known for his bite force or anything. And number two, there is another poison and dark type with strong jaw in this hack anyways, and I always try to keep all Pokemon unique from one another, and I try to design and balance every single Pokemon to have two useful abilities to switch between. In this case, those are Sheer Force and Intimidate. Intimidate with the newfound poison and dark typing is much better, not to mention you have reliable recovery in the form of Molt, and you have buff Black Sludge. Black Sludge will heal double the HP that you normally will heal. There are all types of crazy move, item, and Pokemon buffs and changes in this hack, so if you are a new viewer and are just clicking on this because you like Arbok, please do make sure you check out that Google Sheet in the description. I have buffed and changed 600 plus moves in this hack, and there are 130 plus custom new moves. As for the abilities, Sheer Force and Intimidate. Also, what I said earlier, I want to say Poison and Dark type is a better typing than Pure Poison because it's not. Offensively, obviously it is because you do get dual step, but defensive-wise, you actually lose some resistances as a Poison and Dark type. Pure Poison is a really good defensive typing. I would say they're about equal personally, especially in-game for hardcore Nuzlocke and whatnot. Fix that formatting right there. So yeah, Sheer Force and Intimidate. I gave Sheer Force because if you read the Pokedex entries talking about Arbok, number one, he's just freaking 11 and a half foot long, 150 pound, like Cobra type constrictor guy. And if you read the Pokedex, it talks about how he's just terrifically strong and he constricts things with his body and he can flatten steel oil drums and his crushing embrace is just impossible to escape and stuff. So that makes Sheer Force fit really, really well, and it lets me make him a really cool mixed attacker, similar to Vanilla Nidoking with his 85 base special attack and incredible special move pool, and then similar to Vanilla Frogger with his 100 base attack and Sheer Force as well. He also got stuff like Dragon Dance late game, but honestly, I wouldn't be using Arbok as like a sweeper too much. I mean, any Pokemon can really sweep in this hack for the most part. It's not anything super unique. It is cool late game, like Dragon Dance is just one of the last TMs you get, so I wouldn't fixate on that too much. I would fixate on Arbok's utility throughout the entire game because there's a lot. Not only are you very bulky, 100 base HP, I do base HP more on size, and like I said, Arbok is huge, super long, so 100 base HP is very reasonable, and then it has 80 base defenses, so 180 bulk with Intimidate, and access to stuff like Parting Shot, Molt, T-Spikes, Glare, which now drops attack and special attack by 1, as well as Paralyzing, and all types of other good utility moves makes Arbok really great in that regard. You also have buffed Swallow, which will work really well in conjunction with Stockpile and Spew Out. Spew Out is 100 base power to 300 base power, drops the death by 4, but Stockpile is the best use. Swallow is the best use of your stockpile boosts in most cases, in my opinion, although you can run all three, because Swallow will heal you by 100% of your HP, no matter what, and it's also a priority move, so it's essentially like you're using a max potion in exchange for losing your stockpile boosts. You only need one stockpile boost to use Swallow, so you get full HP no matter what. Very, very good move. You also have stuff like Coil and Power Trip, and at level late game, level D5 late game, you get access to Mesmerize, which is a 100% accurate sleep move, which is really cool for Arbok because he is, I mean, he's great. Don't get it twisted. I mean, he's very strong and bulky with Intimidate and strong with Sheer Force because 185 offenses might look kind of meager, but when you consider the Sheer Force boost with a Life Orb, it's really, really powerful. And you have a good base 80 speed tier, like a very respectable, solid speed stat. So overall, he's just super well-rounded and has a lot of good assets and traits. Like as you can see here on the side, there's tons of great coverage moves. But I would say for a lot of fights, the bulkier Intimidate Parting Shot sets are better, just to neutralize a lot of offensive scary threats. Life Orb Sheer Force is good, but you're going to want the defensive utility in a hard round hack like this. You know, you're not always going to want to just go Unga Bunga. You do have a whole full guide for every single move buff and change here on this move sheet, but you also have a little cheat sheet for the Sheer Force boosted options. But I already have the ones that are Sheer Force boosted memorized, so I'll just list off a couple of important ones. So on the physical side, you have Crunch and Health Thrust, and then on the special side, and on the physical side, you have Crunch and Health Thrust for dark type moves, and then you have Poison Fang, Poison Jab, and Gunk Shot on the physical side, and Poison Tail, all of which are really good and have their own respective, pros and cons. I mean, Poison Fang is objectively worse than Poison Jab for Sheer Force, but for Intimidate sets, Poison Fang trades the 5 base power for a 50% chance to Toxic, which is really good. So it's up to you which one of those two you want to use. You also get Poison Fang a tiny little bit earlier than Poison Jab anyways, as a TM. Yeah, physical Sheer Force boosted moves. You have Seed Bomb for coverage, Rock Tomb, Bulldoze, and Rock Slide for coverage. lunge for coverage, and takedown, fighting type move, really good coverage right there. And late game, you also have Power Whip. You also get Iron Tail and Aqua Tail, all of which are Sheer Force boosted now. So in general, the vast majority of moves are Sheer Force boosted. So that's really good for Arbok. On the special side, his special attack is a good bit weaker, but because of the fact that you have access to infinite EV training items and instant and what am I trying to say? Infinite EV training items and infinite EV. What am I trying to say here? Infinite EV training items and infinite ability capsules. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So with that, you can run, bulkier, max HP, max defense, intimidate, and then in the next fight, you can run max special attack. Depending on your IVs and your nature and the boss fight that's coming up, your special coverage moves might be more beneficial. For example, like Flamethrower is there on the physics. Oh my god, on the special side, and you don't have access to that on the physical side. And Fire Blast and all these other really strong moves. Sucker Punch, really good priority. You also have Poison Dart and Sludge Shots, but those aren't worth it super past late game. They're still good. Poison Dart especially is solid, but they're not Shape Force boosted, so I would just wait until you get the Sucker Punch TM and just teach that for stat priority. The early game Poison Dart and Sludge are obviously great. You have Disable, you have Leech Life, which heals you about 100% of your HP now, or 100% of the HP you deal rather, in exchange for only being 60 base power. You've got Wrap, which works really great with like Protect and all this fun stuff. Jagged Fangs is also Sheer Force boosted. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. He's just really solid, bulky, Poison and Dark type with great abilities. He's strong with Sheer Force. He's bulky with Intimidate. Got a good speed tier. You can run Choice Scarf fights for certain fights to outspeed. Choice Scarf sets for certain fights, excuse me, to outspeed specific Pokemon on the opponent's team. Ekans is very good for early game, great for Melee Island. It has Intimidate, it's a pure poison type. Buff Black Sludge is great on both of them. It's great for both of them, especially with that Intimidate. Arbok doesn't even need to keep him a whole game because you have that Black Sludge. You can just use Protect or something with Intimidate and Parting Shot, and you can just be a really good, bulky pivot and just, take care of offensive things that are in front of you. Assuming that they don't have any crit moves, because keep in mind, crit moves will bypass through a Intimidate drop, which makes Intimidate a lot less oppressive, especially late game, which is when the crit moves will start to show up more. But yeah, Ekans, bulky, strong, fast, mixed attacker, early game. It'll evolve in time for Totodile Araquanid, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, very simple plus some changes for Arbok, so thank you so much for listening. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Again, very fitting abilities. I don't think I even need to explain the Poison and Dark typing. I really do. I feel like Arbok should have just gotten the Dark typing in Gen 2 when they added it, but I guess they didn't want to do that like they did with Steel. So yeah, appreciate you listening this far into the video. Peace.